So Formula One, the Hungarian Grand Prix, as it was a strategic masterclass from Lando Norris. Lando Norris gets it done. He wins the race. But let's be honest. I mean, like, I don't think he performed that brilliantly. He performed that brilliantly in my opinion, and he would admit that he admitted that in the interview. Like, he said that he was more thinking about finishing second and limiting the damage, and trying to finish second to Oscar. I think he was saying, but like he got it work and with that one stop strategy, which clearly I thought like, listen, you know for the whole, like, for the first half of the race, like, the win was gonna be was it was like almost gonna be between Charles and Oscar for the win. But I tell you, like, Lando Norris, you got, yes, he had that, not a great start, where he was trying to, but you could say he was a bit unfortunate because he was trying to pass Oscar, and he got blocked off. So that led to him losing two positions to George Russell and Fernando Alonso, and yeah, he managed to pass Alonso the next lap, but he was stuck behind for a couple of times against Russell, and what? So if he was stuck behind Russell, one of the plans was gonna be, what can Lando do here to win the race? Do we go for one stop strategy? And it clearly worked. It clearly worked. That was an amazing pit stop by the way by McLaren. The first pit stop for Lando, 1.9 seconds. Also, they did the same thing for Oscar Piastri's pit stop. So fantastic pit stops for McLaren. And McLaren got the strategy right. For some periods of the race, like, it looked like Ferrari and Charles Leclerc had it under control, and then, yeah, we're gonna talk about what happened after that, the second pit stop and everything. So, but like, Lando Norris got his strategy right, and I don't think he was that brilliant. I don't think he was that brilliant, but in this kind of races, you don't have to be brilliant. You have to win. You have to get it done, and Lando got it done. Fair play to him. He got that one-stop strategy work, and right at the end, where I thought, like, when he tried for that one-stop strategy, I thought, like, maybe, but I think it's also very risky. Maybe, but it's also very risky. But it can work because, and it also cannot work because I remember years ago, I think 2018, where it was the same track. Verstappen went for a one-stop strategy, whereas Hamilton went for a two-stop strategy, and Hamilton managed to overtake Verstappen and win the race. So I thought, like, it does one stop strategy. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work to end up winning the race? But Lando, I have to say, in the last 5-6 laps, and yes, Oscar was closing in on Lando, but Oscar had the fresher tire, so of course he was gonna closing in on Oscar, closing on Lando, and he was gaining. But Lando, like, he defended like a lion. Honestly, he defended fantastically well, brilliant, because he knows if he makes that one mistake, because Oscar was constantly, you know, you know, um, on him, constantly on him for the last 5-6 laps. Lando knew if he made that one mistake, he would be in trouble, and he would lose the win. But he didn't make mistakes. He defended fantastically well. He got the strategy right. It was a strategic masterclass from Lando, basically. Strategic masterclass, and he defended fantastically well against Oscar Piastri. Fantastic. And listen, I don't think he was Oscar. It was Lando Norris. I don't think, in terms of performance, I don't think Lando Norris was outstanding. But I think if you ask Lando Norris, one of his best wins in terms of how the race went, I think he would say this one, because the way how the race went, and he was not that great. In terms of performance, in terms of pure pace, the win was between Charles and Oscar Piastri. But when Lando went for that one-stop strategy, it worked, and this is why I talked about a week ago that Lando can win by strategy and managing tires and also by in pure pace, whereas Oscar, most of the times he wins the race by pure pace, but I haven't seen him much win by pure strategy and tactics and managing tires as Lando has. So I think that could be a big difference towards the championship towards the end between these two. Because listen, I wouldn't say Oscar got the strategy wrong because it's easy to say, oh, the one-stop strategy was, you know, uh, impossible, etc., etc. It's very easy to say, but the two pit stop was the quicker strategy, was the quicker. Um, and listen, Landa had to go for the gamble because he was starting he was in fourth position. He had he had to gamble. He had nothing to lose. He had to gamble. He had to try, and it worked. So credit to Will Joseph, the engineer of Lando. Credit to the team of McLaren for the strategy. Credit to Lando. They got the strategy amazingly well, and Lando made it work. He made it work. Yes, he got a bit, let's say, unfortunate because he had that bad start and it allowed him to take that risk in a funny way. Maybe he did it on purpose to get that one stop strategy to end up winning at the end. Maybe he did that on purpose, but um, but yeah, except that, like, he he got that strategy spot on, and he deserved to win. He defended fantastically well. He was on it, and Costa was constantly pushing him, and Oscar locked up, nearly crashed into the back of Lando Norris. It was similar to Austria. Like Piastri did the Piastri in Austria, like nearly crashed into him and lock up again. And listen, in Austria, I didn't understand because it was a bad mistake from Oscar, and it was very early in the race. But whereas this one, I can understand a little bit. Yes, he was desperate, but I can understand a little bit because you don't have there's not much laps. There's one or two laps, so I can understand why. And in Hungary, it's it was more difficult to overtake in Austria, so I can understand why. In Austria, he deserved to be criticized for that mistake. This time, I understand a little bit. It's a bad mistake as well, but I understand. I understand. So yeah, but yeah, very good from Lando. Fantastic, brilliant performance, and for sure, this is one of Lando Norris' best victories in Formula One, and that's 200th win for McLaren in Formula One. So history makers, they keep winning, and obviously McLaren, you have to say they're the second biggest team in Formula One, obviously behind Ferrari. So yeah, well done to McLaren. Lando didn't manage to break the trophy as well, so congratulations to him for that as well. Because he has a habit of breaking trophies in Hungary. But yeah, brilliant performance from Lando. Oscar, I don't think he could have done much else. Maybe the problem that denied him the victory was he was stuck behind Charles Leclerc for too long. I think that was the problem. Um, but in the first half of the race, it looked like the win was going to be between Charles and Oscar Piastri. But then the second half of the race, when Lando started to go for that one-stop strategy, and then Leclerc had that chassis problem, where he said that after the interview, after the race in the interview, Oscar went past him when he was stuck behind him for a long time. Russell went past him as well. Oscar, he was asked if he can go for that one stop or two stop, and he chose the two stop strategy. So for all the people in social media saying that, oh, McLaren favor Lando Norris, oh, they wanted to win the championship, Zach Brown loves Lando so much, don't give me that BS. They choose the strategy. McLaren let the drivers just choose the strategy. If McLaren, let's say, if Oscar Piastri said, if Oscar Piastri in the radio said that he wants a one-stop strategy, and McLaren said no, we're gonna go for two-stop, then yeah, I can understand that. I can understand the frustration of Oscar Piastri fans. But to say, Lando was favored and Oscar was screwed, like Lando had nothing to lose. He had nothing to lose. He was in fourth position for most of in the first half of the race. He had nothing to lose. He had to go for a gamble, and it worked. He went for it, and it worked. I don't know what's wrong with it. We've seen it a couple of times in Formula One when people go for smart strategies. and they end up to win. Leclerc in Monza, George Russell in Spa, even though he didn't manage to keep the win at the end. So this is Formula One. People take risk and they take the gamble and it works for it at the end. I don't know why people are so obsessed about the favoritism, etc. Like, shut up. Like, watch it by your eyes. Watch it by your eyes. Don't watch Formula One on TikTok. So, because that's what people do. People don't have common brain. They just want to say something to get more views. Where's this? If they really wanted Lando to win that race, if they really wanted Lando to win that race, then maybe they should have asked Piastri to swap positions with Lando. If they really love Lando that much and they desperately want him to win the championship, like, I don't understand. Like, McLaren, they treat both drivers equally, so I don't understand what's the people's problem. Um, but Charles Leclerc, he had the chassis problem. He was in. I mean, it looked like for the first half of the race he could win that race, but then the second pit stop and the strategy again, once again, it was ruined by Ferrari once again. And he was incredibly angry in the radio. He had a kind of a rant saying it's frustrating, we've lost all competitiveness, you have to listen to me, I would have found a different way of managing those issues. Now it's undrivable, it's a miracle if we finish on the podium. And Leclerc, he had a chance of winning the race for the for half of the race, and yet he didn't even get a podium and managed to finish 42 seconds behind the leader. 42. Yeah, he had a 5 second time penalty. 42 seconds. Like, unbelievable. Like, honestly. Like, Ferrari, again, once again, they love destroying people, don't they? They destroyed Hamilton in, considering, how sad he was on after qualifying. And now Leclerc. Like, people say, oh, Leclerc has converted one win out of his last 16 poles into a win. Listen, it's not fair for that statistic, because he had lots of unlucky moments and things going against him, things that are not in his control. And let's not forget, he's driving for Ferrari, who are the masters of making stupid strategies. And yeah, and they had a chassis problem, and it looked like Ferrari they were trying to risk to not get disqualified. That's Ferrari's. That's been like since China. It seems like some of the races, Ferrari were trying to not get disqualified from the race with a tire wear, with skin wear, etc. Like, that's been one of the key problems of Ferrari, is that the decline in their performances this season is that they're too focused. Some races they were too focused on not being disqualified, and they can't focus on the technical stuff and what they can prove, how they can prove the car, how they can beat McLarens, etc. So, and now the chassis problem, as I said, and again, once again, Ferrari absolutely ruined him again. He ruined the chances of winning, of Charles Leclerc winning race once again. Um, and yeah, so yeah, huge win for Lando. The gap is now 9 points between them. So that's huge for the championship. And obviously ahead of the summer break, McLaren obviously well ahead of clear of everybody. So yeah. Aston Martin, they were absolutely fantastic. Alonso and Stroll on the points, fantastic performance from Aston Martin, considering how they had a shock in Belgium. Bortoletto again, once again, brilliant performance from him on the points again. Great performance from him in Hungary, 8 points. Liam Lawson had a good performance. Kim Antonelli went for a one-stop strategy like Lando, and he got on the points. There was a bit of a fight between Verstappen and Hamilton, but no further action, no penalty. I mean, they were fighting for, I think, P11 or P12 or something like that. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, yes, it's because between those fantastic two drivers, it's fascinating to see. But it was, to be honest with you, I would say this incident between these two was similar to Silverstone 2021, but it was in reverse, and actually Hamilton backed out a little bit. So, yeah, but yeah. Now let's. I'm gonna close this video. There's gonna be another part. So yeah.